They've ridden down the Turbo Tunnel on the NES, they smashed their way into arcades everywhere, and they've even teamed up with the Double Dragons, but it's 2020 and the Battletoads are finally back in action. Joining the ranks of Streets of Rage 4 and River City Girls, Battletoads is a totally fun beat 'em up that you should keep on your radar in 2020. Battletoads takes place after the events of the Battletoads arcade game 26 years into the future. Our heroes Rash, Pimple, and Zitz find themselves living in a fantasy world inside a bunker where they've been living unknowingly for 26 years before construction crews set them free. After this, the Toads find mundane day jobs, but they yearn to return to the top and be famous once again. They devise a plan to hunt down the Dark Queen, take her down, and regain their fame. Surprisingly, for a brawler, the story is actually pretty good in Battletoads. It's packed with lots of humor and jokes, and while I will say some of the humor was a bit hit or miss from me personally, if you're a fan of shows like Rick and Morty, I think you're to be much more into it than I was. This is due to lead writer Tom Kaufman, as well as fellow writer Wade Randolph coming from Rick and Morty, and while I wouldn't say it's exactly the same type of humor, it very much felt like that same style of humor while playing it. There are also lots of cutscenes that tell the story throughout, including sections with 10 to 15 minute fully animated and voiced cutscenes, and it really felt like playing an Adult Swim cartoon more than anything. The team at Dellala did an amazing job reinventing the three Toads themselves. Each of them have their own unique personalities, weaknesses, and strengths, and each feel like clearly defined character. My first playthrough lasted exactly 4 hours and 5 minutes, and my second playthrough cut down the time to about 3.5 hours, playing solo in both cases. The core of each Battletoads game is through its gameplay, and it got quite a large overhaul when you compare it to other previous games in the series. You'll start off with a standard beat-em-up levels, as well as the return of the turbo bikes. However, as you progress throughout the game, you'll get introduced to bullet hell shooting, 2D platforming, and puzzle solving to break up the formula. This is absolutely true to the Battletoads formula, since while the classic games are considered beat-em-ups, they've always been known to be a blend of different genres to mix up the action. The Battletoads are a team of 3, and while you pick your character of choice at the start, in single player, you can switch between the Toads at will. Each Toad has their own attributes and attacks, with Zitz being the fastest and weakest, Pimple being the slowest and strongest, and Rash being a balance of the two. You're encouraged to switch between the different Toads during combat, not only to increase your score and ranking on each level, but also to keep your enemies on your toes. By doing this rather than having you stick with a single Toad, it really made you feel like you were controlling a team of characters rather than your active Toad doing all the work while the other two were hanging off screen somewhere. Of course, the character switching is totally optional, but it's a feature that I would love to see retroactively added to other beat-em-ups that have multiple team members. Also, I love the over-the-top nature of the attacks, as well as the fluid animations as you do them. It adds another layer of style to an already great-looking game. For those who have nightmares about the original Battletoads games, you'll be pleased to learn that the difficulty is much more balanced this time around. An example of this being the Turbo Tunnel level. It can be pretty challenging, but it's not nearly as hair-pulling inducing as the original NES release. There are also 3 difficulty levels, and I had no trouble going through the game on solo on normal difficulty, though I will say the beat-em-up stages are going to be a bit more manageable for multiple players. As far as the non-beat-em-up stages, the 2D platforming stages feel very much like playing Donkey Kong Country, and while I can say the platforming is a bit floatier than DKC, I was very impressed with these stages as well. There are also some puzzle-solving stages that I found to be a bit frustrating, especially the ones that are based on time, but oddly enough, I think these are going to be easier to manage with multiple players. When mixing different genres, sometimes the gameplay falls flat for most games, but I think the gameplay is actually pretty solid and a lot of fun to play throughout the experience, and I think it's well paced. While playing the game, one thing really stuck with me, and that's the incredible music by Thomas Weseload's David Housden. Much of the soundtrack contains new renditions of classic Battletoads music, as well as some awesome new music with all in this hard rock style. I love the music in Battletoads, and I've been rocking out to it while writing this review. Despite a few minor things, I really enjoyed my time with the game. It really felt like picking up a classic rare game for the very first time since the N64 era, and I think fans of classic Battletoads games are going to totally dig it, even if you're put off a bit by the art style. I also think it's probably the best entry point in the series for anyone who's never played the other Battletoads games, and I would imagine this is going to be a great couch co-op game. However, I was unable to test this during this review process as I don't have anyone else to play with. However, this game absolutely begs for online multiplayer co-op, and I do think the experience suffers a bit for that, especially if you don't have other people around to play with like I don't. Also, beyond the game's 75 included collectibles to find, there isn't a huge amount of incentives for replaying the game, such as additional modes to unlock or any other characters to unlock throughout the game. I think Battletoads is the type of game that's perfect for Xbox Game Pass. You can finish it in an afternoon and have a ton of fun playing it. As far as if you don't have Xbox Game Pass and are looking to pick up the game outright, I'd say wait for the game to go on sale or subscribe to Game Pass to play it unless you've got some local friends to play around with and you're looking for a couch co-op game, because I think it's going to be a great game to play with friends. Thank you so much for checking out my review of Battletoads. Huge shout out to Xbox Canada for providing a code for review purposes. If you like this video, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel, and you can reach out to me directly anytime on Twitter @RyanTurford. Thank you so much for watching and have yourselves a totally amazing day.